Hey everybody, Sean from Media Assault here, and this is the first episode of a little thing that I really don't have a title for yet. I've been playing around with some different ideas for a title, but for now I'll just call it the Media Assault 1970s Drive-In Spectacular. What I'm going to be doing for the month of January is actually highlighting and showcasing and reviewing some films from the 1970s that very likely would have played at a drive-in movie theater. Some of these I've actually seen at the drive-in when I was a kid in the 1970s. Yes, I'm that old. Some of these I've never seen before, so most of these are pretty schlocky B-movies, for lack of a better term. Some of them will be a little bit more high profile. Some of these you've heard of before. Some of them you may have never heard of before in your life. And I'm actually going to start out with one that I've never seen before reviewing it today, and I had never heard of before. But it has some connections to a movie that I'm going to review later on in the month. And that movie is Day of the Animals. And this is a movie that was directed by William Girdler, who is known for several movies in the 1970s, kind of a B-movie master of the 70s. Unfortunately, he died in 1978, so he didn't continue on into the 80s. I'm not sure how old he was when he died, but this was actually a follow-up to a movie he made called Grizzly, which some people remember as a really obvious knockoff of Jaws featuring a grizzly bear. Some people actually called it Paws instead of Jaws. But this sort of takes the theme of Grizzly one step further, where instead of there being one animal attacking people, this throws pretty much every animal you can think of at a group of hikers I don't think they ever say where they're at, but it looks like the Pacific Northwest. You've got wolves, rattlesnakes, hawks, vultures, spiders, rats, German shepherds, all sorts of things just throwing themselves, sometimes literally, at the humans in this movie. The plot is very simple, and like many of the Nature Gone Wild movies of the 1970s, like Food of the Gods, Night of the Lepus, Empire of the Ants, Kingdom of the Spiders, there was usually some sort of environmental problem that triggered these animals to go crazy and kill people. And in this case, it's the deterioration of the ozone layer, which is causing animals at high altitudes above 5,000 feet to go crazy. And coincidentally, a group of, I think it's 12 people, are dropped off by helicopter in a mountain range and are obviously in the path of all of these different animals that have been affected by this ozone depletion. Unfortunately for these people who are dropped off, they are just about a few hours after they are dropped off. A quarantine and evacuation of the town where they were from is ordered, and everybody leaves, so they're left to fend for themselves in the wilderness with these animals. The premise is actually pretty good. Like I said, a lot of the 1970s films dealt with this environmental stuff back when pollution and environmental concerns were fairly new and people weren't so jaded about it. Today, pollution causing something to become mutated and kill people is kind of a cliche, but back then it was still pretty fresh. Unfortunately for this movie, though, it's got low budget concerns, so some of the special effects are pretty bad. One scene in particular where a woman falls off a cliff as she's being attacked by birds just looks absolutely terrible. But that's actually one of the better schlocky moments in the film, and I'll get back to some more of those in just a second. But about halfway through the film, the cool premise gives way to some really terrible writing and a rather lazy conclusion. It's just sort of one of those, well, everything's fine now, conclusions that really isn't very satisfying for a movie like this, which it could have been a whole lot better. Getting back, though, to the fine schlocky moments and the reason that I like these type of films, this movie's loaded with them. You've got a hawk that acts like the ringleader of this animal gang, and he gives off a screech like when somebody's supposed to be attacked or something. He's like kind of calling the shots, which is kind of funny. Leslie Nielsen is in this movie. There's actually a fairly fine cast of B-movie actors in this, and this is a pre-Airplane Leslie Nielsen. But you've also got Christopher George, his wife, Lynda Day George, Richard Jackal, Michael Ansara. Just very recognizable if you watch B-movies, especially B-movies from the 70s. A lot of this cast will look familiar, and some of these people will be back in a movie I'm going to review later in the month called The Manitou, which is also directed by William Girdler, so look forward to that. But Leslie Nielsen in this movie, he plays probably one of the biggest assholes in the world, and that's explained in the film a little bit as to why that happens, but he plays this ad man who comes for this 2-week hike to get back to nature for some reason, and he just basically treats everybody like dirt. It's unintentionally funny. This isn't the post-Airplane Naked Gun type Leslie Nielsen where he's sort of playing the inept funny guy. He's just being a dick, and he's not really trying to be funny, but it comes across as kind of hilarious in hindsight, looking at his career, what it was after Airplane, and this is before Airplane. Definitely also a lot different from his performance in Forbidden Planet. You've got rats leaping on a man's face that look like they're sort of being pulled by wires to like leap. It looks really bad. You've got a guy hugging a German Shepherd that's supposed to be attacking him. He's obviously cradling it in his arms. You've got visible camera shots in reflections, and this really, really bad performance, and I can't remember the lady's name who does it, but she's playing this stereotypical overprotective Jewish mother. She takes her son up with these hikers, and every time this kid moves or does anything that gets out of her vision, she's freaking out and talking about how she doesn't belong up there in the wilderness and how she should be back on Beverly Hills, in Beverly Hills with all the civilized people, or like civilized people should be. It's just a hilariously bad performance, way over the top. But for sheer fun factor, Day of the Animals is a lot of fun. It is still widely available. You can still pick this up pretty cheap. I've seen it in an Evil Animals 3-pack box set with Grizzly and a movie called Devil Dog. Just a lot of fun, definitely typical of what I'm attempting to showcase in this drive-in spectacular for the month of January. So definitely check it out if you get the chance. You definitely won't regret it. And as it says there, starring Leslie Nielsen. You got to see this performance, people. It's just hilarious. If I was going to be rating this film in terms of schlocky 1970s B-movies, this would get about, I'd say, a 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely representative of the genre. In terms of, good films, well, I'm not even going to try to rate these movies in terms of good films. I'm going to rate them within the genre, which I'm looking at this month. So in terms of schlock factor and just overall fun, I'd give this a 7.5 out of 10. So there you go. That's my review of Day of the Animals from 1977. Stay tuned for more 1970s schlock films all through the month of January. And of course, I'll have other stuff too. But look forward to more. And like I said, stay tuned sometime this month for a review of The Manitou, also by William Girdler, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So thanks again for watching, everybody, and take it easy.